All right, well, hey, everybody, Rob at the Feedbackwrench Podcast. I am here with Darion Wiggs, a CPA out of Chicago, who I've had the honor of doing one video with. Go check out the other video where he shared tons of his experience about what it's been like to start his own accounting firm, CPA firm. And in this one, we really want to talk about what this kind of second phase in his business looks like. So, Darion, thank you for the time. I'm super excited to have you here.
Oh, yeah. Likewise. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, why don't you just quick cover, I guess I didn't preface this, but catch people up to where you're at. How long ago did you start your accounting firm, your CPA? Just do a summary for, a couple minutes here, helping us catch up to where you're at right now. And then there's this kind of second stage that you've really been gearing up to. You've done lots of great work, and we'll talk more about that. But catch us up to where you're at right now and what your journey's been thus far.
Yeah. So I'll just go straight into the business part of things. So I started my firm in October 20 of 2022. So next month we'll actually reach the 2-year mark of my business. As far as work experience, like most people who probably watching the video, I started off in corporate. I started off at EY in the insurance department, and I thought I made it because I was to be an auditor, and I was going to stick with that route. But a year into that process, I realized that wasn't a route I wanted to take. And I also wasn't sure if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I went to a smaller tax firm, got some tax experience. Fast forward, learned a ton from them. And then that's when I started following Rob, watching his videos, getting some different ideas. And then I kind of went all in on my dreams and goals, which was starting my own firm. So started my firm October 20th, 2022. Like I said, we're almost at the 2-year mark. In the first year, I really just got started. And my goal was to pretty much serve everybody in a sense, right? I knew that I needed to, 1, get some reps. 2, I needed to get, some reviews and just get some experience myself. So year 1 was really just, I knew the long game and the long goal, which we'll talk about. Phase 2 of my business plan was to start working with service-based businesses, providing bookkeeping, payroll, and tax planning services proactively throughout the year. But I also understood it took a minute to get up to that. So first year, like I said, mostly just tax prep and working with some folks on a retainer base. But now that we're rotating to phase 2, as we reach that year 2 mark, is really just diving in and focusing all my language, all my marketing, all of my services tailored towards small business owners within the service-based industry. So that's where we're at today.
Yeah, I'm encouraged. It's so fun to see. Now, I'm 42. You are younger than me. And it's fun to watch somebody younger just getting after it and doing the things. I made the comment last video, you execute. I love it. I have so many meetings with people where, a cast vision for, I know what works. I've done it before. I see other people do it. We implement the stuff and they don't do it. I think you made the comment that you're listening to my course. Little humble plug here. I got a little $500 accountant course. But I think you said you're listening it for the second time type of deal. And you've read just about any book anyone's ever mentioned to you. I love that. You're a sponge and you're growing. The other thing I love, and I'd love to, there's this second season happening, but in the first season, it's pretty common. You switched your careers and you went and found people who had problems and you doggone fixed them. You did a lot of tax returns. You did a lot of tax work, a lot of accounting work. You have 127 5-star Google reviews. So you've been able to execute in a long time, but talk to me about what just a summary of what the first phase was. I love how you're like, look, let me build credibility. Let me get this going. Talk to us about what kind of the first phase has, what'd you end up doing the most work of?
Yeah, like I said, the first phase, 1, just getting some reps, and especially in speaking to other accountants, right? It's just building that brand and that reputation. It's kind of difficult in the sense to just say, hey, I'm doing taxes. I'm doing, I'm out here. I work with small business owners. All right, that's fine. But who are you? So I spent that first year and just initially, even before I launched my business, was just building a digital presence, marketing myself, getting out there and networking. So phase 1, year 1 and year 2, those first 2 years, are really just getting my feet off the ground and then creating the infrastructure within my business that can take on bookkeeping and payroll and tax planning clients. So I knew what I wanted to do, but it took me a minute to realize actually building systems within the business. That's a whole nother conversation by itself, but that took some time. So year 1, I spent a lot of time January through April, mostly focusing on tax returns. That paid the bills in a sense. But like I said, it also allowed me to get as many reps in, but also work with different types of clients. So by the end of tax season, let's say I did 200 returns and 50 of those were business owners. Now out of those 50, maybe 25 of those qualify for, the outsourced accounting services model. So then I was able to follow up with 25 of them after tax season, offer the outsourced accounting services to them, and then work with a small group of them throughout the year. So it was kind of like to generate leads, but more so build a brand at the same time and just get more clients coming in the door. So that's what I mostly did. I had a nice group of people that I worked with as far as like a retainer packages after year one and year two. But now the emphasis is on growing that part. But a lot of time on tax prep and then consulting too as well. I know as a CPA, people come to me and they expect me to know everything from investing, stocks, right? Retirement, life insurance, taxes, entity structures, the legal side of things. So that was pretty cool because I spent a lot of time studying that part, which the average person doesn't. So I spent a lot of time doing consultation calls. In the first year, I was doing free calls, getting as many leads as possible. But now I charge for those consultation calls. But it really, that first 2 years helped me set up the foundation and the expertise that I needed. So now that I can actually offer those services. So tax prep, consultation, and then I have a small group of people I do bookkeeping and payroll for, but now it's time to grow that part.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of why it's time to grow that part, we talk about this we had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and part of it is that business owners, they think they just want this simple service, just do my taxes, or they come to you to buy something, right? But if you pump the brakes and really dive into it, they're gonna want a much bigger solution. And that much bigger solution isn't tied to like, oh, I want to hire an expensive accountant. I want to pay you a high retainer. That's not what it is. There's incredible value that you deliver when you kind of take a really paused approach at this and dive in. And it's been fun to watch you as you're growing here. And, the whole predicate, when we say outsourced accountant, and I'm not going to act like I'm like the founder of this thing, but about 11 years ago, at Nuance Financial Tax and Accounting, Nick and I, if you didn't know this, and a guy named Ed, I basically had been a financial planner for a little bit. And I was like, I want to work with self-employed people and I want to do tax planning. And out of that, I found out that most accountants really struggle to provide the leadership and guidance for any type of customer to make sure that they're doing everything possible to reduce their taxes, to make sure that their accounts are just handled properly, that their bookkeeping is done properly, that they're getting CFO level advice, that their taxes are all done. Like I was trying to find somebody that would partner with me because I would do the investment side, they'd do the tax side. And I just found that they struggled with it. So I went back to Nick and Ed and I'm like, guys, I'm pretty sure there's a business here. And it took 2 years and we kind of went from 0 to about 150 small businesses. I ran all the sales and stuff. And then we had some ownership confusion. So I started Feedbackwrench and said, I'd rather help these people play offense. And so I bring that up because inside this outsourced accountant model is this idea that every business owner has these set needs. And I just want to kind of leverage that if you're listening to this. Number one, they need their tax returns done. Number two, they need bookkeeping. It needs to be done right. It needs to be done properly. Number three, they need to make sure that they pay their taxes in throughout the year. If they screw that up, all of a sudden they're either going to get a giant return because they paid in too much, or at the end, they're going to have a bomb go off and their spouse is going to throw things at them and they're going to have an awful time when they find out they own $50,000 because they had a good year and they didn't pay it in. Then tied to that is they want good tax planning, right? So they probably need to be set up as an S corp. They probably need help and wisdom to determine what's the reasonable salary so that they don't get in trouble. They probably want to do retirement plans and pick the right one, and it's not like everybody does. But I'm just catching this. And then you get just, the bottom line on a business owner is that towards the end of the year, you look at your bank account and you're like, what do I have $400,000 in my bank account. Am I just going to take that on the chin and just pay all those taxes, or should we play offense? And so what's been fun is like, that's such you can add all that value. And people don't understand that when you do it all together, when you handle the taxes, the bookkeeping, the accounting, and all of it just together, you can do better. Like your tax planning is better because you do the books. You can pay in the taxes because you do both. You can do the year-end taxes really easily and it's not like you have to do it, but I just want to share out loud that that's when I say outsourced accountant, that's what I'm thinking of. When you say outsourced accountant, are there ways that it's different for you, or how would you frame it up, or what are you learning around that?
Yeah, exactly the way you pronounced it, in a sense where it's like, instead of you hiring somebody to do payroll part-time, instead of you hiring someone to do a bookkeeping part-time, a different person for tax prep. How about you just outsource all of those like you were going to do, but to one person, one team, and then we take care of it for you. Like you said in the beginning, it's like what it does is we be able to add so much value to our customers. Not only are we helping them save on taxes and helping them save time and keeping them compliant, but it makes our life a lot easier too, because as you can notice, if you're just prepping taxes, tax time come around, be like, hey, let me get your P&L, let me get your balance sheet. They don't have it, or if they do have it, they don't even understand it. So imagine a world where you're working with them, like from the accounting perspective, proactively throughout the year. So you're keeping up with everything. So when it's time to file the taxes, like you're not asking them, hey, let me get that your profit and loss statement. I'm pulling it directly from QuickBooks. I already issued the W-2s. I'm doing all of that. So it makes it a lot easier from the client's perspective because they don't have to hire folks and train them. Like they literally, it's like a partnership, right? And as you said, we're partnering with them in the sense of we're their growth partner and we're working with them throughout the year. So when I look at these, I'm not just looking at them necessarily, oh, this is a client. Like I look at it as a partnership, which is why I took a lot of time over the summer figuring out my ideal client and who I want to work with so I can make sure they're a great fit for me and vice versa. So same definition in a sense, but that is the way we should all be going to the outsourced accounting model. And then once you're able to have bookkeeping and payroll, tax prep and tax planning bundled together, it's an amazing relationship when you do it the right way.
Yeah. Tell me about this ideal client. What are you learning around that? The exercises you've been doing in your head. Just share with people how you approach that. How have you been determining that? You can share it if you want, but just help us understand what you did this summer.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess when I first started my firm, the goal was to avoid restaurants, avoid people who sold like products and stuff and had inventory. I kind of knew that already. But I kind of tried a few of them. I was like, okay, that's not really a good fit. But big picture is for me is I knew I wanted to work with service-based businesses. I kind of felt that was still broad. It still is, but I kind of narrowed it down in a sense where I just did a lot of research, one, on my current client base. Like I said, tomorrow I'm creating a lot of new content. We'll talk about it later, but more of a call of action and directly directed towards those people within the service-based industry. But I spent this week, for instance, or the entire last few weeks, just sitting down, who's my favorite clients? Why are they my favorite clients? All right, let's get into the numbers. What's their revenue they're generating? How many employees do they have? How much are they making per month? Like I really broke it down statistically, took down my favorite clients and kept track of all my favorite attributes for each one. And then now when I create my content and now when I go out in marketing, I'm speaking directly to them. So it just took time of getting some reps, kind of like dating in a sense where you got to figure out what you like in a sense. So I worked with people with multiple industries and different type of business structures. But now after spending the summer, just being patient, taking a step back from the business, right? And actually looking like, okay, who did I enjoy working with the most? Who is the ones that's willing to, one, value my time, but also pay for my time in a sense where they understand the value of our services too as well, which is what made me ultimately, after looking at my favorite clients, just kind of settle down with service-based professionals or just service-based business owners making six figures, because those are the people where the way I look at it is, hey, you're already providing the service to your clients, right? You already got a lot on your plate, and now you're stressing about the financial aspect of your business. So let us step in and provide a service to you so you can stress less about the financial aspect of your business, and so you can focus more on actual customer service, systems within your business, and providing value to the people you serve. So it took a little time. Like I said, it took a little longer than expected because the summer, I had a great time, but I had to make time for it. It didn't just fall in my lap. It came through intentional exercises so I could figure out who I wanted to serve moving forward.
And you have some good mentors around you too. I mean, you've got people you're bouncing ideas. I think that there's so many people that they just, one of the pieces of advice that I share with other people is like, if you don't know what you're doing, go look to people you admire and give them a call and say, hey, I was wondering if I could give you do a 20-minute virtual coffee with you. I just got 4 or 5 questions I'd love to ask you. I won't blabber. I'll sit there and take notes, wondering if I could get that. Getting perspective is so huge. And I know that you do that. And for you to spend time in your business, not just on the business, is super important. And you're going to succeed with that. One of the things that I think has been interesting too is this idea of, a lot of people set out to do this retainer model or a retainer model. People call me and they're like, I want to do your CFO model. I'm like, well, it's not that it's a CFO. That's part of it. What it is that your clients really kind of assume that their tax accountant is going to do all this for them. And so when you're not doing it for them, if you're not aggressively engaging, the stuff goes completely undone. And there's a little bit, I kind of want to hit on this idea of conviction and stuff, but we'll get there before, because in our last conversation, you were kind of like, oh, how do I motivate towards some things? And I shared a story of a company that I found and whatever. We'll get there. But so talk to me a little bit. You got this thing that you're doing. I want to share my screen real quick. And what I want to do is I want to talk about kind of how we ended up. Let me share this real quick. There's this thing that I've learned, when it comes to building momentum in your accounting firm, digital marketing is super important. Video is super important. We're going to talk about that. You're starting to create video. You're starting to create content. And what I've been teaching people is I've looked at all of the accountants that I've seen that actually make it, that actually succeed. I've done probably 100 plus over the last 2 or 3 years and even more. It's really been in the last 3 or 4 years. We've done a ton of them. And some of them don't work out. And I've said, well, what are some of the themes? And then some of them, they just kill it. And I'm like, well, what are the themes? And essentially what I've done is I've boiled down these 4 prime activities that I think lead to success. And a lot of it's just chasing the leading indicator of front-end activity. You just kind of have to get enough front-end activity going so you have enough conversations, so you get enough prospects going, so you can have enough meetings, so you can get enough. And when I go into this, it's like the number one thing that you can do is certainly create leverage by using digital marketing, to have a good Google ad when people say bookkeeper near me, with a nice Facebook and Instagram ad running to the people that have been to your website, or challenging people to take an S-Corp analysis with you, or whatever that is. Digital marketing creates leverage because you can use your money to have a whole bunch of front-end activity going on. You can have lots of conversations all at once, and there's lots of ways that can happen, but it's not enough. Number 2 is I really believe you have to create not just inbound-based video content, but video content in general. These 4 activities really based on, I said, what if I found out that my wife would die unless I got a sale in the next week? What would I do? Well, yeah, I'd go turn on my ads, but I wouldn't just sit there. I'd grab my phone, I'd write a bunch of scripts, and I'd pump out 3 to 5 videos a day, just like Gary Vaynerchuk, just like Alex Hormozy says, and I'd be pumping them and boosting them like crazy. And they'd be pretty direct marketing. Like, look, if you own a business and you're not positive you're getting aggressive tax reduction planning, if you haven't set up an S-Corp, or if you don't know if you're using your salary on your S-Corp properly, book with me. I'll get you set up right now. And if you're not sure if you want to do that, here's all I want you to know. We'll have you send your tax return. I'll look at your accounting. I'll do an analysis, and I'm going to come up with ideas to reduce your taxes. So book right now. Like, I'd be thumping those videos left and right. And that allows you to have thousands of conversations all at once, right? So that creates leverage. Now, again, I think that if you go towards your locations and your niches, that's easiest. Like, immediately I would talk to the people in my community, because I'd share it on my personal Facebook and Instagram, my business Facebook and Instagram, my LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. Like, I would pump and thump, and then I'd pay to get them into my ads too. The third thing you do, I'd pick up the doggone phone. Like, if I really want sales, I'm going to go use Outscraper. I'm going to use a tool, and I'm going to grab a whole bunch of people. I'm going to call every concrete contractor in the 40-mile circle. Every accountant that listens to this, their stomach just went, no. Like, this is the worst thing ever. Nobody wants to do it. But the idea is a business owner actually respects professional, sharp, frank, upfront sales calls. They really do. Of all the people you're ever going to interact with, a busy salesperson, if they have and so it can look really simple. Hey, I see that you're in Lakeville. I'm down the road in Rosemount. I'm a CPA, and I'm wondering, can I send you an email to introduce myself? I'd love to earn your business. I kind of do proactive tax planning and bookkeeping. Do you have a great accountant, or can I shoot you an email? Notice I'm going for the handshake, not the kiss. So that's the third thing is if you just do 10 a day, about 3 or 4 times a week. The other thing is go to networking events. They're not the greatest, but you got to be in front of people. You got to go in and you got to do everything you can to get in front of people so that you can actually have some opportunities. But the professionals who are in sales understand that phone calling, good, sharp, intentional, non-slimy phone calling is actually the best. It's kind of frustrating. But the last thing is you definitely make sure that you're nurturing and piling on your current clients. Not piling on, but you just want to make sure you're adding value. Delight them. This whole business is about customers and making them feel like they love you. by solving their problems, showing them some cool stuff, show them some of their numbers. Just say, hey, just wanted to show you, Joe, did you know that your revenue is up 15% this month over the month before, but your profitability is a little down? Just figured you want to know that. Like, whatever it is. So I'm just prefacing this because when you and I talked about this, we started talking about some kind of your next phase, because the next phase is creating more content. Why don't you share? I'm going to quit with this thing, but help us understand a little bit of like, what's your, what's this next phase like? You're starting to do some content, like just frame up what this phase is in terms of you producing content.
Yeah, definitely. And I did a little bit of everything you just said, right? I still remember month 1, 2, 3, and 4 of starting my business. I was doing cold call. I would go to Google, or I have an assistant or VA, create a list of folks to kind of reach out to, and I called everybody. So I did that. I haven't touched in on the digital marketing necessarily yet, but I have an amazing website, which I was looking at all day today and finding new spots in there I didn't even know existed. So thank you again for that. That kind of naturally brings and leads to as well on top of my Google reviews. But phase 2 for me is just really pushing out content that is a lot more intentional. So first of all, for business owners out here and future tax accountants on their business, I never wanted to create content. I'm one of those people where if it was up to me, you wouldn't see my face. I would be just in the back kind of taking care of operations or running the business. But I noticed the trend within it, and everybody else is doing it or not doing it at all, and that's why they weren't successful. They were making content, showing their faces, because people actually enjoy seeing you and learning from you directly. So for me, that wasn't a plan, creating content, until like year 2, 3. But I started doing it last year in June, and I was creating kind of some reels and posting those. But it was just all from an educational standpoint, where I would give a tax tip, and that's it. I would tell some people, give them advice, or point some things out, update them on deadlines, and that's it. That's pretty much it, right? I never advertised, hey, we do bookkeeping, we do payroll, we do tax planning. I never did any of that. It was just for me to get reps and get comfortable. So now, starting tomorrow, all of my content moving forward is going to have a call of action, right? It's going to highlight the pain points that I've seen from experience. It's going to be highlighting and targeted directly towards service-based businesses. But most importantly, I'm going to say it again, is that call of action. I was just telling people what to do, but I wasn't telling them where to go to follow up. So all of my content now is literally targeted towards them. I'm going to really kind of get more on the sales side in a way, something that I got to get comfortable with. But I think I've done 2 years of kind of, building a brand, showing I'm an expert and just getting my face out there. Now I'm a whole lot comfortable with, and now that I have the infrastructure, because at first, like, there's one thing going on social media and say, hey, I provide bookkeeping and payroll services, and not having an infrastructure for it. Because my fear was, and as you know, Rob, like, these businesses, especially in our industry, can go rapidly, right? And like you said, customer service should be your main priority. So I didn't want to grow too big, too fast, and not have the infrastructure on it. And now my customer experience is going down. So I took my precious time, but part of me niching down over the summer was also building out that infrastructure. So now I have a bookkeeping department. Now I have systems within the payroll. Now I have my assistant doing different things for me within my business. So I'm a lot more comfortable with it. And most importantly, I have results. I have surveys. I have tax returns. I have a ton of information that proves that the things I'm talking about and the things that I've done is actually valuable to my clients. So now it's just pretty much just telling the story, getting out there, engaging with my clients that I built on social media, and just giving them a call to action and letting them know that, hey, we're here to help, and just kind of advertising our services that way. But that's where I'm moving on phase 2, is just literally pushing those outsourced accounting services moving forward versus tax prep only.
I love it. And it's not so much just so that you get those clients. Mm-hmm. As we've talked over the last 2 years or year and a half or whatever it's been, people deserve this. And, our last conversation, you said, hey, Rob, what tips do you have? You had such great questions. We spent a bunch of time together. And one of them was like, hey, as you're creating content, what encouragement do you have for me to kind of really get geared up to create that content and to, cold call or whatever it is, right? How do you get that going, and because I think you need to cultivate it. And I told you a story, and the story is that, when I was going around, my number one thing was like, I want to find out, are you an S Corp? Do you know if you're an S Corp? Are you maximizing your S Corp? Are you getting tax money? Oh, you are? Cool. Well, how about, what are you doing to grow? Do you kind of have budgets and forecasts set up? Are you building credibility and whatever? But it was the S Corp, let us do a tax analysis type of call to action, because what would happen is if we could get our paws on the tax return and get invited into the accounting, it was like, oh my gosh, we're going to find a million ways to add value. And that's everything from doing tax planning to understanding, oh, wait a minute, you guys are getting paid slow. Like your invoices or whatever that is. And so I told a story about a couple that we had who had been in Schedule C, regular LLC their whole life. They were baby boomer age. They had a very big construction company, and they had an accountant very early on in their careers that came in and made their life easy. But this accountant didn't know about being proactive with tax planning. Yep. And this was like two people, both of them kind of like, they were splitting huge incomes. And when we did the math, they were overpaying in taxes to the tune of like between 15 and 40,000 a year, depending on how we wanted to like talk about it. And this is legit. Yeah. Between the S Corp, the retirement plans, and some of this other stuff. And when I took a step back and I realized to overpay $20,000 a year in Medicare and Medicaid taxes, and then probably another 5 or 6 just in retirement plan because they never used the right retirement plan, a year. Yeah. If they would have pumped that into an S&P 500 index fund at 8 to 12%, they would be multi-millionaires just in the tax savings that we would have had. And that moment when we got those clients is when I felt to my bones, I'm like, these people get cheated unless they have a Darion in their life. Like they absolutely get screwed and they don't know, like, but the government's not like, oh, by the way, you should try our discount code. You should try an S Corp. They don't care. Nobody cares. It takes somebody to intentionally go in and not just do the S Corp, but really say, how do I help these people move from here to there? And so when you get that conviction that like, look, if I don't do this, my communities get screwed. Their marriages get harder. It's harder for them. Like it's time away from their children or their businesses. They don't get to provide as many jobs. People don't get productive. Like it impacts people dramatically when the money goes straight to the IRS rather than to them. And I believe that in my bones, like to my bones about that. But I don't know. You got any thoughts or anything? What would you add to that?
Yeah, I think that it took me a minute to realize that too as well, where how much value we can add, but just also knowing that like a lot of these strategies, especially somebody with CPA, went to University of Illinois, so good educational background, got my master's degree. A lot of these strategies like I didn't even know about. So it took me a minute to realize, okay, yes, I know about these strategies now, and my closest friends and circle do because we're all accountants and in the financial industry. But when you really think about some of these small business owners, you think about your carpenters, you think about your dentists, you think about your other business consultants, these high paying, high earnings, high income earnings, sorry about that. They don't, one, have the expertise in our field that they need to really scale and grow their business. They can learn it, but then they start to realize it's just costing them a lot of time. So it took me a minute to realize, one, the value that I can add, and two, that it's my responsibility to also, teach other people around it. Because I always say the biggest tax we pay is the tax of not knowing. So I didn't know these strategies right away. I had to stop assuming that since now that I know them, everybody else know them, right? So it's just part of the process to just kind of realizing, the value that we can add from that perspective. But you're 100% right. Like it's so many strategies out there, so many ways we can help. And a lot of these strategies don't even be as complex, but we would never know unless we get our hands on the tax returns and really sit down with some of these business owners and also educate them about the endless opportunities that they can have. But that comes through proactive tax planning. And I'm learning too, and part of my content tomorrow is CPA consultation or consulting in general just isn't a norm either for business owners. We're so used to pulling up during tax prep season, January, February, March, April, giving our accountants our information, and then we tell you how much you owe, right? Traditionally speaking, that's how it is. So now that I'm doing consultation calls and I'm speaking with business owners who are 20, 30 years older than me, I am very shocked. I'm used to it now to hear, hey, nobody has ever told me this. Like my CPA, my accountant, my tax preparer, that's not the tax preparer role, by the way, but they never sat down with me and broke this down to me. So they really appreciate the value that I'm able to bring to them. And like I said, it's our responsibility as tax professionals, CPAs, and CEOs of our own firms to educate and add that value to those small business owners because they need it. They need it a lot.
I think one of the challenges is they come to you, just do my taxes.
Yep.
They come to you, yeah, I need my books done. They have the thing that they want. And if you just give them what they ask for, they're not going to be set up the way they actually, it's not what's good for them. My analogy is always, when I used to sell computers in the early 2000s, if you bought a computer and you didn't put antivirus on it, and if you just took it home, it didn't have a way to do Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. There was no Google Docs back then. So you'd go home ready to do your homework, and you'd get Works, which wasn't Word, and you couldn't open your file. You'd drive back, you'd swear at me, and be like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, well, it's $100 to buy Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And then the other thing is if you didn't have a full version of antivirus, you would have viruses by the end of the week. Like it was just doomed. So as annoying it would be, is people would come in, I'd have to pump the brakes, slow down. Let me hear where you're at. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get you a computer. Yeah, in fact, we have some really inexpensive ones. We have some mid-sized ones. I want to make sure you get the right one, but pump the brakes. And hey, yeah, so you need your bookkeeping done? Yeah, we can do your tax return. How long you been in business for? And you grab your pen and you start taking notes and you start asking questions. And it's less about the taxes and accounting. You start there because that's the thing they came for. You don't want to just sideline them. You don't want to push resistance on them like you're not trying to answer their questions. But what we want to find out is, okay, in the scheme of this business, it's heading upward and forward, hopefully. How did they get started? How long ago was that? Who's all involved with this thing, right? Because we know that the owner's one, and then, Tammy, the gal who's helping them run everything, is going to be an important part of your life. And so as you pump the brakes to ask questions, you're really going to start to find these ways that you can come in and add big time value. And some of them it's really around operations. How much, one of the two of the best questions that will qualify your prospect quickly is always, so tell me, how long ago did you get this started? That's actually not the question. Oh yeah, how much money did you make last year? And you look them in the eyes and you go, that's how much you brought home? Was that gross or net? And then how many employees do you have? And then who does stuff in the employees? Because as soon as they have employees, you have to think, this person is at least big enough of a leader or of an operation to empower other people to do work on my behalf. Like that's a big deal. And then you also know that you, as an alternative to them hiring somebody even part-time to do this, like they could hire a bookkeeper, they have to hire them, train them, hold them accountable, make sure they don't get sick. It's tough. Or they could just hire you. And that's kind of like one of the value things is, rather than paying $1,000 a month for 1 day a week bookkeeping, a little bit more, they'll get everything from you. But I just bring that up as the key skill there is when people come in, you don't want to frustrate them, but you pump the brakes, start asking lots of great questions, and drive to get your paws on that tax return. Use your tax storm or your smart vault portal, get that thing, and then really spend time on the S Corp. Really start to ask, do you have retirement plans? Do you have anything? But focus on the business operations and everything. The other thing I wanted to bring up was that takes salesmanship. Like that's hard. That salesmanship to pump the brakes and to say, you're coming to me, you're ready, you're handing me your money to do your books. And you're like, well, yeah, I can do your books. Absolutely. But let me talk to you about where you're at. And then let me see if there's opportunity. And then let me frame up that opportunity with a price to it. And then have the conviction to be like, no, you deserve not just bookkeeping. You need this. This is what I do. I have the conviction that I do outsourced accounting where I do the tax planning, I help pay them in, I do your tax returns, I do the booking. It's this or nothing. And that takes like a confidence, a conviction, kind of a faith that like you're not going to drive them away. It's difficult, but there's one last thing I want to bring up. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. A lot of that can't come until you've built up your self-conviction. And your time doing tax returns, your time getting perspective and growing, it's almost like playing basketball, right? It's like you're getting your reps in with high competitors, and you're starting to get it. And now you're confident. I can take that shot in that spot right there. Absolutely. Yes, I can. I should take that shot. Yes, you should come get my service. There's this thing that happens as you get those reps in, like what you said, that all of a sudden you believe in your bones. And if you don't believe that, what happens is because what it has to be is it's not just about selling that service so you get a big retainer. You can't be in this business because you want money. Obviously, we want profits, obviously. But when you believe in your bones that this customer deserves it, and you've done enough work to know that, yep, doggone it, I'm the one to do this for you. You should become my customer because you're going to get screwed otherwise. Or it's just, I'm better than everybody. We're better. Be with us. Something magical happens there. So that's my encouragement for people that are listening. It's not like you've actually done this. I think you're going to, well, you already are killing it, but I just wanted to add that on there. Any other thoughts that you have before we kind of start talking about your content stuff?
Yeah, no, I think, that just believing in yourself and those services, like that goes a long way. And as far as like you said, it's not about getting those big retainers, but it's more so like understanding, hey, as long as you provide great customer service and you keep working on personal development and you keep working on yourself, your brand, your business, your structure, naturally that'll come. But yeah, just keep that short and sweet on my end. Yeah, literally just believing. I think just believing in the services, knowing that it's valuable. And yes, that took time. It took time for me. Like I always believe, but now, like I said, with the results, as I'm an accountant at the end of the day, I see the numbers, I see the results. Like I definitely believe now because now I got the support for it. So excuse me. But we're on the same page on that part.
Yeah, there's two additional challenges are, particularly when you're growing, you shop out of your own pocket too. One of the hardest things to realize is that, and I'm not going to act like I have 7 people that work with us full time. My payroll is a beast for me. Like I look at it and it humbles me like it just humbles me. Right. And if you shop out of my pocketbook, it's different than shopping out of Rob's pocketbook from 9 years ago. Right. Yeah. It's a total different thing. And so when you're first getting started in business, for you to ask for a $1,500 to $2,500 a month retainer, you're like, that's so much money. But then you're like, no, that's not. You're like a third the price of any of their people. Like you start to realize, no. So that's a challenge in itself as you're going. If any accountants are listening to this, that's a challenge. Then the other challenge is, because this is a service you're good at doing, you'll be like, well, I would just do it myself. Like there's a self-deception in there. You have to remember that the people that you're serving, not only are they busy, you're all about making this, it makes complete sense that they do it because they'd save time and money. Well, you know what else just makes sense? I don't want to do it and I'm not that good at it. And it sucks my energy drive for me to do it. My wife shouldn't do it. I should be selling. That's where my strength is. So unless you kind of realize that you will self-sabotage yourself as an accountant selling accounting services. You'll buy out of your own pocketbook. You'll think, they'll just do it themselves. No, bull snot. No, they won't. They're not going to do any of that. They're going to end up overpaying in taxes, calling you later to fix it, and then hammering you on price. Anyways.
And then it gets more expensive.
Yeah.
What add to things there? Yeah, getting in there. Now you got to get more comfortable with pricing there because when I first started, I still remember my mentor, Carter. When I first started doing taxes, I charged somebody $700 for a tax return. And for me, I was like, that was the most I ever charged for a tax return. And it was somebody I knew within my circle from college, and I felt really bad. Like, that was the most I ever charged. I sent them a voice note, like, how do I get comfortable with this price? I'm like, I've never paid that, right? Now I'm at the point where it's like $700 is on the low end. If I'm not charging more than $700, I mean, I'm doing something wrong. But what I'm getting at, what got me comfortable with that is one, knowing my value. And then two, one thing that I had to do and learn was I had to invest in myself. I've spent $10,000, $15,000 investing in education, not college, but like education or a course or mentorship. Like I've spent that money on myself. So if I'm spending $15,000 to invest in myself, it's a whole lot easier and I'm a whole lot comfortable charging somebody else $15,000 for my services because I know I would pay that for myself. That, and then two, within our industry, it's very, I want to say easy, but if you think about it from a number perspective, we're one of very few people who can say, hey, you pay me $15,000 not only are you going to get a tax deduction, and if you're in 30% tax bracket, your overall cost is going to go down a few $1,000s, but also you're paying me 15 and I can show you the results, so I'm going to save you 50. So now you're saving about this, a 35,000 net savings there, but we're like one of the few people who can do that. So that's why when you get those reps and you start having those strategies like converting to S Corp, learning how to set up a solo 401k or a SEF IRA, hiring kids, and you know those tax savings instantly, it's a win-win. I'm at the point where I tell clients, hey, I'm going to charge you $800 for this tax return, but I'm going to tell you how much you would have owed without me and how much you're getting back or how much your tax bill is reducing when you're paying this $800, so you can instantly see this return of value. So once you get like comfortable with that, and it took me a minute, but that's where I'm at now, it makes pricing a whole lot easier and just knowing, your worth when you speak with clients.
Yeah. And there's this thing that when you start talking with your client, you never want to be convincing them why they need to do something. Mm-hmm. But there is this part where you are the adult in the room. You're talking to an alcoholic that wants to have a functioning life. And you got to look at him and go, stop it. This is what you're going to do. Yeah. Like, stop it. You don't know what you're talking about. And you don't do it that boldly, but there is this thing where like, look, at the end of the year, you keep bringing me this accounting and you're overpaying in taxes. Yes. And guess what? I know it's baloney. I know that I can tell right now. I see these 3 lines in your bookkeeping. It's nonsense. No. You have no idea what's going on in your business. Why? Like, it's time to stop. It's time to sober up. It's time to do this. And the more, and you don't want to be so bold. You do that wrapped in relationship. You build intimacy to get to a point where you can give a little pull. Like, come on, man. Like, if your admin staff wasn't doing this terrible accounting and they were focused on getting paid quicker and they were helping your customers have better experiences, I'll get the stuff done in 1 hour that takes you 3 days. It'll be done right. I don't have to fix it all. And by the way, now we can get super intentional about wealth planning, real estate planning, tax planning. We can do all sorts of stuff. Plus, you can scale your business, work on your operations, all this stuff. But that's one encouragement that I have is that it's almost like these business owners come to you, and you don't want to accuse them, but they are like, they don't know what great looks like. Yeah. They come to you to buy something, but it's like you owe it to them to make sure that you find out where they're stuck and then show them where they can. Find out where they want to go with their business, but be the adult to say, look, there's a gap between what you have in your business and where you want to be. And that gap right now, I can help close that significantly for $1,500 a month, $2,500 a month. You cannot grow your business until you start to have some periodization through this. You don't even know what your budgets are. You have no idea what's going on. How are you going to hit your $20 million goal if you don't even have a forecast? Stop it. But all that happens, you pump the brakes, you believe in yourself, and it's not overconvinced. You got to build this sometimes, right? I get it. You can't just, but as you build that, remember that they need you to tell them, stop, like, look, and that takes leadership. I always make the comments that business owners overpay in taxes because their accountant doesn't have the leadership or the capacity because they're too busy doing individual tax returns to help them go from here to there. And that's what you're doing. Now, leadership requires relationship. It requires a vision. It also knows what you're saving them from. Like if you don't cast it, this is where in our writing for our websites, there's always the stakes and the benefits. When you choose me, here's the benefits you're going to experience. And by the way, here's the failure I'm going to save you from. And when you remind them of the failure you're saving from, then you're able to like really, I'm saving you from 20 years worth of overpayments and taxes. That's a $10 million IRA, whatever. We could keep going here, but.
Yeah, I'm going through that right now where one, the leadership part, I never put it that way, but that's hands down a super crucial kind of component and something that, is just an ongoing process for me. And the whole thing was just kind of, when you were talking, I was thinking about the fact that we're in a unique position with our firms just in this industry where we don't have to work with everybody, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you how I can help. I'm going to tell you the prices of my service. And at first I was like, dang, okay. Now it's like, it's not my loss. I know what I'm bringing to the table. I have the tools, the skills, the resources, and most importantly, the time. Like I truly believe I am what's preventing you from making that next level, in a sense where if you don't bring on a qualified tax professional to your business on your team, you're not going to reach that next level. I don't say it like that, but I have a good understanding of it. So it makes me a lot comfortable, one, with my pricing, but also with those conversations with clients. And you're 100% right, where you got to take a step back. That first call is so important. And before I announce in the next 10 days that, hey, I'm accepting new clients, I'm redoing all my templates, all my initial call templates, everything, because that first conversation where you get to really dive deeper into the client's situation, understand their processes and systems, that's super important. So I just want to add that part on that. You got to take your time with it, but you also got to be the adult in the room at the same time. And for me, being 27, starting my firm at 25, most of my clients are 45 and up, 40 and up, you could say that. And I have a client now who I'm literally like, hey, the structure that you had for your vision 10 years from now isn't going to work. So he dissolving his current business that he had the last couple of years, starting a new entity, having new holding companies, adding a partner, redoing the operating agreement. I had to lead that entire process with people that's 25 to 30 years older than me and be the leader in that and really own what I'm saying. I might, that's 20, 30 years down the road, but because of what I know, my confidence, the amount of time I put into studying my craft, like, it helps me lead those conversations a lot better. So for those of you a little hesitant, to be a leader in those situations, if you're always prepared, you'll never have to get ready. So make sure you, outside of just working on your business, you continuously working on personal development and just learning as much as you can about your craft. So it makes it a lot easier to lead in those rooms, because it do get intimidating for some. Like I said, I haven't had that issue necessarily because I never take on more than I could chew. But over time, and then me going into completing year 2, confidence is at an all-time high going in, mostly because I'm confident I know myself.
Yeah, you're there. All right, so I want to make this little bit. So not only I'm going to share my screen here real quick because I'm going to show off, because you're about to even do better content is what you're saying. Like, you're going to get a little bit more poignant here, but I want to show folks. I got your Instagram account up here, got your Twitter, got your YouTube. Darion is creating content, and Darion is a CPA. I think he's more personable and more engaging than what so many accountants are naturally at, and I'm not sure how much of this is natural versus not. But you said there was a time where, look at this, 127 5-star Google reviews. I remember when we were talking, and it was like, what can we do? Go capture that credibility that you had. Go to your customers and get them to give you a review. Invite them in to capture that. But you've been doing there you are. You've been doing Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, a little bit of, I think, TikTok.
TikTok.
So first off, how are you able to create content? And then let's start talking about what's your actual process? I want people to hear this and know that they can do this too. And we'll get into the effectiveness of stuff too a little bit later. But I'm just going to say it. Folks, if you're not making videos right now in 2024, you don't care about your business. It's like that, in my opinion. You can literally, it's like cold calling people, but they just fall on it. Record videos and push them anywhere. So that's my strong opinion, but I also get it. You get busy. But talk to us about, how have you geared up to do this? Talk to us about what you're actually doing. I know that you're about to get a little bit, you're refining your videos. But what are you learning through this? How'd you get started? Catch us up, man.
Yeah. First of all, that comment you said about the 2024, I'm on your side, but if you're not making content, you don't care about your business. That would have scared me personally. That was one of my biggest fears of starting a business. Cause like I said, I didn't want to show my face. I didn't want to be all out there with making content and stuff. It wasn't me. It's not part of my personality. It may seem like it, but I didn't want to do that. I actually never had an Instagram or Twitter until I started my business 2 years ago. So I went my entire life. I'm still learning Instagram as we go, and I'm 27. So for those of you who are a little nervous and scared about it, trust me, it gets easier. But I guess content, the way I started was about, like I said, last summer. So about 14 months ago. And I rented out a big studio, paid $25,000, and then I realized I'm lying because I literally just got a tripod stand on my iPhone, and I literally just started recording. I started seeing other people make content that are EAs or literally just prep individual tax returns, and they're talking about the same thing over and over and over again, and they got a ton of views, a ton of content. I'm like, I know more than these people. Like, I have over 150 credit hours in this stuff. I've studied for accounting for thousands of hours in my lifetime. Like, I know more. So it's more so like, if other people doing it, I can do it too. But for me, I just thought about the customer experience and the customer journey. And I realized that with me being new to social media and in my targeting audience initially, that they were new to taxes. So I've been taking them through a journey the whole time. My first set of videos literally started from step one. What is a sole proprietor? What is an LLC? What is a C Corp? What is a partnership? Cool. What is a tax write-off? What is a home office deduction? What is auto? What is the meals deduction? I literally took my time with those basic ones. And then I started kind of tying things together, talking about how you can use losses from your hobby to offset your W-2 wages. Then I started going into more board meetings, right? More complicated things in terms of like how charitable contributions work for paintings and different. I just started bringing them through the journey. And that's kind of how I spent the first year and a half, first 2 years, literally just informing people. Like I said, building that brand and that expertise, and also getting comfortable with the content. Because at the end of the day, it's the same couple strategies. I'm tired of hearing them, so I try not to talk about them, but I'm about to start talking about it again. But it's the same ones, right? So just practicing one, myself. Two, studying the greats in the industry so I can learn how they're doing it, and then finding my own voice within the industry that already is the same content. I teach people how to box, and I tell people, we're throwing the same punches, 1, 2, 3, the hooks, jabs, but yet everybody has a different fighting style, right? Everybody still throws them slightly different, but it's the same concept. So for me, first year and a half, 2 years was just informing people, and I feel like now I'm really comfortable. At first, it was extremely hard. I used to write a script. I used to practice. I wasn't reading the script directly, but I used to write it word for word. For my first set of 30 videos, took a month or two break. My second set of videos, I got a little bit better where I didn't need as many notes. And in my third set before last tax time, it was a Q&A session, and I didn't need notes at all because I became a lot more comfortable with the content. See, in the beginning, when you're first talking about it, it's a challenge. It's hard. But as you get more experience, and for those of you who are veterans and been doing this for a long time, just turn on the camera because you know so much. You just have to talk about it. So for me, I would set up a tripod in my iPhone in my living room, have a nice little background set up, and I would record. I would have those videos. I probably make 2 to 5 clips per, right? Because you make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Send it to my editor on Fiverr. And you can do it for free with certain apps, but Fiverr, very cheap, $5, $10, $15, $20. They'll do the B-roll, they'll do the caption, and you can get those videos out there with some good quality, even with your iPhone, right? So that's what I did. And then I've slowly progressed to finding like a studio where I would do like a Q&A session. And I basically now I bundle my videos together. So at first I do 2, 3, 4, 5. Tomorrow I'm doing 20 videos. My last set of videos, I did 30 videos. It's just 2-3 hours, block it off, crank it all out. And that's pretty much how I did it. So now that's pretty much how I approached the content in the past from an educational standpoint. But now, like I said, we're kind of shifting things up.
Dude, that's so great. So I love that you said you started with a script, you did some with the script, fewer scripts, and it was almost, I love that it ties directly to your analogy where you're punching. If you're a boxer, you're practicing your right, your lefts. I don't know anything about boxing, but
yeah. You got the basics.
Until it became instinctual, and now you can kind of pre-plan. Do you find that you kind of have, at the drop of a dime, you can kind of start teaching on certain points? Is that what you're finding when you're doing these live stream FAQs and stuff?
Yep, absolutely. Webinars help too, doing those. It's all about getting reps. Spoke yesterday in front of 80 people. Tomorrow I got the video shoot. I have a networking event I'm hosting in a few weeks, and now I'm just a lot more comfortable. Anybody asks me a question, I get it from so many different angles. Prior to this call, a guy called me, a financial advisor I'm partnered with. He said, hey, he wants to do a presentation for folks who work at Microsoft in a few weeks. And he was just telling me what he wanted to talk about. I said, cool, I already got 20 different angles we can hit this at. And he's like, 20? I was like, yes. And I was like, that's only because I have reps now. I got my practice in, right? I don't document. I know a lot of times, especially with social media, I mean, personal brand and brand in general is just so important. And just watching my mentors and how other people operate, like they document everything from backstage, on stage, day in life, all of that. So I'm not really on that level where I do it, but my vision and my goal is I'm getting these reps in. So when I start doing that stuff in 2-3 years, I'm not, it's gonna be quicker than that. But I'm gonna be on a whole different level just because I understand that I'm not perfect. I don't have it down packed now, but if you don't turn the camera on and you don't get if you don't get started, then you'll never be perfect, right? So that was my approach to it. But yeah, a whole lot more comfortable now. And like I said, just continuously studying the craft. And like I said, I just started my business 2 years ago. So I didn't know everything, but I'm learning everything as we go. And I was during tax time, I learned so many different things because I take on the folks who say, hey, I have a complicated situation. Nobody's been able to help me, X, Y, and Z. So I don't recommend this for everybody, but I wasn't even charging max price for my time because in my head, I was like, this is a learning opportunity for me. Yeah. So that's how I did it. And because of that, like going into tomorrow, I'm a whole lot comfortable and just excited for the first time to get some things going.
Everybody listening to this right now, I want you to rewind to when he first started. I want you to start noticing some things. Here's some things that I noticed. He started formally creating the stuff he wants to teach on in a script. He practiced the script. He got in front of the camera. He swung the bat. That built reps. And communicating is really hard. I have a funny, quick story. I worked at Eaglebrook Church 12 years ago, and I got asked to do the announcements. I had to stand in front of 2,200 people 4 times a week on Saturdays. And the first time I ever did that, I stood up, I'm like, hey, everybody. It was during practice. I'm like, hey, everybody, my name's Rob. And then it was like, you paused, and I got in my head. I have this loop that, like, as soon as you know you're screwed. Practice gets you through that stuff. Practice makes it so that if you screw up something, you make noises like that, you can continue to roll through it. And practice is huge. But I love that you also had the things you knew you wanted to talk about. So many business owners I bump into, they don't have, let me add value to you right now. Here's 5 ways for me to add value. You should be ready to do that, doggone it. You should have a phone call with a financial advisor, and I got 20 things that we can do. I know how to teach and add value. You're a guide. And so anybody that just listened to Darion there, he is positioned as a guide. There's another subtle thing that I want to bring up that not many people talk about. Darion has inflection in his voice. He's making eye contact with the camera, and he smiles.
That's it.
And he has an attitude that I love. I got this from my friend who is a franchise owner at Chick-fil-A. And we were talking about hiring, and he said there's 4 things they're looking for. Love or hate Chick-fil-A, whatever. People that make good eye contact, people that shake hands, people who talk in a friendly manner, and people who will have a my pleasure that will say my pleasure. But if you really think about the my pleasure thing at Chick-fil-A, the idea of us, there are people that have problems. It's our pleasure to handle it. And I think that there's a thing that Darion has that I have noticed in all of the accountants that I see succeed. I really mean this. I'm not here to flatter you, but very much so. It's you're friendly. And sometimes when I call it being a fine-tooth comb, when you're careful and calculated as an accountant, you are processing things deeply. And sometimes what happens, you lose inflection in your voice. You forget to smile. You overthink it. And quite frankly, you make it awkward and weird. And you got to get through that. And as you communicate, doggone it, it's not just passion, but there's things in there that you have a friendly, whatever. So there's something I learned there. Yeah. The other thing that I just learned, you say, I love the bursting of videos. So you pre-plan, you're going to do a big old content blitz here. Is it fair to say that it requires a different energy from you to do this than it does to sit down and complete taxes? Does that have anything is it good to let's plan, let's go, let's get all this crap set up, and then let's do this whole thing? I mean, why burst like that? How does that help you?
The easiest part of my business, and this is me thinking out loud, is doing tax returns. That is by far the easiest thing for me. The hardest thing and the most uncomfortable thing is making videos. It's showing my face. That takes a whole different type of energy, whole different type of mindset, work ethic. It's different for me because one, it's not something I'm comfortable with. This has been one of my most stressful weeks in a minute. And every time I know I got to click record and record something, I know I'm not stressed, but I'm stressed because I'm breaking out mostly because I know I have to do it, right? But it's also one of those things that I know I have to do it and I know it's going to be rewarding. And kid you not, when I finish tomorrow, 12 o'clock, I'm going to feel super relief, very happy. And I'm going to feel 10 times better because I know that it's one thing that's on my to-do list and I have to do it and I need to do it. But to answer your question, it just takes a different type of mindset. I came up with probably 60 different topics that I can possibly talk about. And I spent all of today, the first half of today, figuring out, okay, what's the game plan here? Can we have some type of structure here? Can we have some type of, what message do I want to give across to people, right? So it takes a different type of mindset and perspective for it. It takes a different type of energy. Most importantly, it just takes you being yourself. And that took some time where at first I would wear a suit. I didn't wear a tie, but I wear a suit and a button up and I would talk to the camera. But before you know it, when Christmas came around, I had on a Henley, I had on my watch, and I was just speaking directly to the client, rubbing my hands, just joking around and smiling and being myself. Because at the end of the day, they're hiring you for your expertise, but they're also hiring you for who you are. So there's a bunch of accountants. There's a lot of us watching it. And there's somebody who may resonate with me because I'm an African-American man from the South Side of Chicago. And somebody who may want to work with Rob because he's a white male in Minneapolis, right? Just one, comfortability. One, two, just someone you can relate to. So I had to get to the point, like, I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to a small group of people. The people that I attract are the people who can relate to me. And at the same time, they're comfortable working with me because you're going to be their therapist at times, right? I'm going through 4 divorces and I'm single. So that's
you're going to know everything about them. You're going to know what they actually spend money on.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that you're being yourself so you don't attract the wrong people. Yeah. So my content moving forward is literally, it takes a different type of energy. But like, as we mentioned, I'm just talking directly to them. I don't care about anybody else. I'm talking to them. It's an A and B conversation. See your way out, right? See you later. But it's more so showing up, being present, making sure I'm well rested, but also just being myself and making sure I'm articulating my message clearly to people. But I enjoy it now. Like I said, rested. I hated it at first, but like I'm actually excited now to do it because I have a better sense of direction and I actually have experience of the pain points and I also know who my ideal client is. So I'm excited for it now versus in the beginning, I dreaded the process.
I think this is really helpful for people. It's helpful for me to hear. One of the things you mentioned a little bit ago, you said, I'm not Mr. Social Media. I talk to a lot of accountants that have like good mental health and they don't obsess over Instagram and they're not into Twitter all the time and they're not doing all this. And I think that's good. But what I tell, I have my perspective of like, well, if you have a business, you're like, this is a platform. You certainly could pick up and dial for dollars all you want. You certainly can, go into the local news and advertise there and get on the radio. You sure? But what's cool is that there's these little platforms you can get to. But, for somebody, if there's an accountant out there that's like, oh my gosh, I do not want to be on Instagram. I am not trying to do that. What encouragement would you have for them? Or what would you say to them? I mean, my gut is to nudge them towards tough nuts. You don't get to be a business owner and not do this anymore. Yeah. That's my attitude. But what do you think?
Okay, yeah, I'm a little bit more on the nicer side there. I think the way to put it is you got to really think about where you're at in your business. Are you comfortable where you're at today? If not, what can you be doing differently, right? If you say, hey, if your problem is, hey, I don't have enough clients. Hey, I'm not able to get the clients that I want to work with. Like the quality leads aren't, at my needs. I guess what I'm getting at is if your biggest problem within your business is getting more clients and finding clients within your niche and you haven't started social media, well, there's your answer, right? My mentor always says they can't serve you if they don't know you. They can't feed you. They can't pay you if they don't know you. Instagram, social media, like I said, I have less than 1,000 people on there. I'm not this big 20, 30, 40,000. No. I literally started from scratch. When I started my business, I had 0 people. And fun fact, I was able to reach 6 figures with less than 20 people on Twitter, less than 300 people on Instagram. So it's not like you need it. But the moment I turned on social media, the moment I started showing my face and getting out there, not only am I starting to get leads slowly from it, but now I'm getting invited to speak on different podcasts. I'm getting invited to be a guest speaker. And I'm most importantly being given the opportunity to tell my story, right? To speak directly to my people. Because you think about now, You may be serving a small group of people, but even if everybody on your Instagram or social media isn't your client, it still gives you the opportunity to serve more people. Like, I want to teach at the end of the day. So that's why for the first 2 years, I was just teaching people. I don't care if you're my client. Those who want to be clients will come. Probably why I wasn't getting a lot from social media, but that was my approach to it. But like now, if you want to take your business to the next level and you want to get more clients, and a funny story, it's probably twice now. So I'm a CPA, got bachelor's degree at University of Illinois, but I am still part of a small percentage of African American CPAs. So there's been a few times where people call me like, "Are you really a CPA? Let me see your license. Let me see your credentials." It's happened within my own community, and it's happened with other people where people reach out and they don't know who I am. I had a call last week. A lady, she paid for a discovery call, so a consultation, paid $150, and that was with my virtual receptionist. So I wasn't on the phone. Next thing you know, my phone is ringing, getting blown up. I want a refund. I want a refund. She sent an email. She's calling, and I saw it. She was like, "I looked him up, and he's not a CPA." And I was like, oh, I like this. I couldn't wait to get on the phone with her. So I got on the phone with her right away because I never talked to her. And she was like, "I am so sorry. I went to your TikTok and your Instagram. I saw you had 50 plus videos. I saw you had 127 5-star reviews. Like, I was able to find you. I looked up this lady, liked over 50 videos, added me on every social media platform." What I'm getting at is that I didn't need social media to get that client, but it helped me keep that client because it allows you to build credibility, y'all. Like, we're working with the most sensitive and confidential information possible, right? Outside of, people in the medical industry. So even if you don't want it to like get clients, like in this day and age, it's one of those things where AI and technology is always going to be involved in no matter what you do in your life. So if you have a firm and you want to be successful and really take your brand and your business to the next level, you need to show your face. You need to have some type of social media presence, not just to bring money in, but for that credibility. And you want to be a credible resource in this industry because that's just the way to go. So that's my approach. You don't need it, but it's a must nowadays. Like, it kind of contradicts in a minute, but in a sense where, yeah, I highly recommend it. And like I said, it's a process to just turn on the camera, getting comfortable with it. And if you've been doing this for years already, and last note on that, because now I'm rambling, is that
you go.
I think what stopped me from making content initially, because I speak with CPAs and accountants and financial advisors all the time. So every time we talk, I feel like it's common sense. But you got to really realize that there's so many different professions and just people out here who think completely different than us. By you just doing something as small as talking about a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, right? LLCs, right? Separating your business and personal finances. Why bookkeeping is important. Why the simplest stuff that we can talk about all within this community. Other people don't think like that, or it's not a priority to them. So even you just turn on the camera and saying the littlest things like, "Hey, you need 3 to 6 months of emergency funding." What? Really? I do. This is how you build credit. Like the simplest things, you can add a lot of value there because people just want to see you and they want to build relationships with you and they want to work with people that they really trust and know. So social media is just one way to enhance that. And it's one of the easiest ways I found to like build a brand and just kind of, get out there and really connect with people from a different level. So like I said, I hated it, but I enjoy it now and I'm hitting it from different angles, getting more interactive, doing like polls and stuff and asking random questions and just talking to people directly. So it's something that takes time. It's time consuming, especially when you're wearing a million hats within your business, but it's one of the most rewarding things because at the end of the day, I'm learning going into year 2. When I first started my business, I really wanted to just focus on doing the work. I wasn't thinking like the CEO, but after like being around other business owners and learning, like our role at some point is not to be doing the technical stuff. We need to figure out how to allocate more time towards sales, customer service, and operations. So as I get more to those side, like I want to put more heavy emphasis on the sales and marketing and social media, ads, having a great website, all of those things in combination is like, at the end of the day, that's my responsibility. So that's what I'm focusing on now, but it's all doable. It's possible.
I love it that I often ask people, are you ready to be kind of a spokesperson? One of the valuable things is that when you create videos in particular, not just any social media, I'm not talking about make political points. I'm not talking about, make memes or you can have some fun and post photos. But when you can fast forward, value add conversations, so tips, insider, you're serving as a guide. What it does is it allows them to have a conversation with you without them having to have a conversation with you. And that sounds so common sense. And yet when you're in business and when you're in sales, your ability to engage with someone ought to be one of your top secrets. Not secrets, but one of your top strengths. If it's not that, you need to cultivate that. I'd encourage you to go read some John Maxwell Connection, learn how to build connections with people, learn how to communicate and stuff. But what I always love about, and if you go to my website, I always say a high converting website, it looks great, it has great messaging, it builds credibility by showing reviews and testimonials. And then on the top, you got to have a bunch of videos where you add value, you frame things up. You want to have a video sales letter. There's some inciting kind of call to action videos. That's kind of what it sounds like you're doing. And I know that we want to do more, but I would you're doing the right stuff, because I think that when they can get to know you, you're right. There may be 1 million people teaching S Corp versus LLC, but they chose to watch yours. And well, who will choose to watch yours? Whoever watches yours, whoever finds it, whatever that is. And I think that's so good. Now I want to take a little pivot here. So that's all good and well. What's the ROI? A lot of people are going to go, what's the ROI? How many leads did you get, Darion? I see you don't have any videos with millions of views. How do you get leads out of it? And so I'm going to let that stew in your head a little bit while anyone listening to this, when I started Nuance Tax and Accounting about 11 years ago, I would always start with teaching and guiding people on the S Corp. And I made a video with a script called The Tax Difference Between an LLC and an S Corp. There were none on YouTube when I did this. It's funny. This is all in the last 10 years. I made this video. It sat there for a year. And the week that I broke up with my partners, that video started getting 10,000 views a day. I started getting subscribers. I'm like, that's going in my channel because that's my video. I made like 4 or 5 other videos about S Corp. Ran out of some S Corp. I'm like, well, I'm not doing that anymore. I need to change this a little bit. And I just started making videos. I think I'm up to like 450 videos on YouTube. And there's a sub niche of accountants, bookkeepers, and tax accountants. There we go. And entrepreneurs and contractors. And I use YouTube in a lot of different ways. But there's a huge difference between the stuff that gets me views just in general versus the conversations I can have with my audience that I need to actually sell to. And then there's kind of like, if I'm just growing my YouTube, that would be almost a different style. So I've been a student of YouTube. I think I've got 32,000 subscribers or something like that. I probably got like 4 or 5 million views, something like that. I got a couple videos that really pop, and I never give it enough attention. I should do it full time. It is my sales machine. I wake up to a full calendar almost every week, as full as I let it get, with people saying, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. There you are. And we do a lot of accountant setups in particular. But I'm sharing all that because I've learned some things that, like, I don't get much traction on Instagram and Facebook. I use that in a different way, and I don't know that I've got it dialed in. And Twitter, I don't really have any. I'm on there, but it's not. I use it for different ways. I found a platform that worked for me. 3 questions. 1, talk to me about what are you learning in terms of the effectiveness now? And I almost want to preface it because I think anyone who is investigating you will bump into your stuff. You go to somebody's website, you send an email to them, you're going to be in their Facebook feed the next day. Like, that's how that works. Suggested friends, Wiggs, you might like. And I think that those conversations, they won't even tell you I saw you on social media. There's a whole bunch of people that see that stuff. You have a video on your website, they watch it. But what are you learning about the effectiveness of this stuff? And is there a difference between the stuff that gets you leads versus likes versus what are you learning with that? I don't know. What thoughts do you have?
Yeah. I wish you could throw a meme in there. I was thinking of the, was it Floyd Mayweather meme where it's a bunch of L's? Like, L. It didn't. So I measured the data after my first tax season. My biggest reason why, I probably hit the mic. My biggest reason why I wasn't generating leads because I didn't give a call to action. I didn't tell people what to do. I didn't tell them we were accepting folks. So that's my fault. And I would complain to like realtors and other influencers and people with a bunch of presence. I'd be like, hey, I'm not getting leads from social media. It was like, 1, how much are you posting? I'm like, once a week, once every 3-4 weeks. Like, the frequency wasn't there. But what I want to get at here is that, so what I did was, 1 advice I can give you all is to master 1 social media platform at a time. There's 5 solid ones to pick from, right? Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and you probably throw some other ones. They can miss Facebook or something. But long story short, there's a bunch of different platforms. So my approach was to build an Instagram presence. I did that, and I don't really get that many leads from Instagram, but I also wasn't posting that much. So it didn't turn into direct leads necessarily. But what I'm learning is with Instagram and Facebook, it's not about leads for me. It's about, one, building a brand, but also for those 2,000 people that are seeing my videos, I get a lot of referrals in the long run and just in general, because when they think about taxes, I pop up first. I was posting once a week, twice a week. I posted 6, 7 times a week, every single day, pretty much. Well, one post a day, every single day on average for the last 3, 4 weeks, and that's not stopping no time soon. So imagine when tax time come around, taxes come up, investment come up, like they're gonna think about me first. So it's not generating leads necessarily because I'm just getting started. But I best believe, and you best believe too, that you just always gonna be in the back of the mind of the people that you're serving, right? But what has been producing leads in a sense, so one, Instagram and Facebook is me still educating friends and family and just building a brand, because when somebody look you up, they're gonna look there first. I started resurfacing those videos in terms of posting the reels on Instagram and Facebook by having my assistant post them on LinkedIn and YouTube, right? The same exact things, but what's going to happen is LinkedIn is like more for professionals, other accountants and CPAs. I'll try to be a little bit more detailed there just to kind of, one, build my brand out there too as well, but to also let others know, hey, it's possible. Like, hey, you want to start your own business? They kind of give you awesome ideas, so it's a different purpose there. TikTok is, I just made that, but I get the most views and most likes there. It's just a ton of people on there. I haven't figured that platform out, nor do I care about it right now. But I'm basically taking those same reels and putting it on there. But the platform that is always going to be around and ain't going nowhere is YouTube. YouTube, I can get 10 views on a video. And this happened where I got 10 to 15 views and I got 2 people call like, hey, I saw your video on YouTube. Let's talk about it. So it's not generating a ton of leads, but like YouTube, I can't wait until I can allocate time there, because I'm confident and hands down know just from you and just everybody in general. And also YouTube was created, I believe, at the University of Illinois back in the day. So it's part of my alma mater. But like that is where it's really at. And part of my long-term goal, because what happens is you don't want to take on too much. It can be very time consuming and a lot to be the CEO, do the marketing, work on operations, the technical, like just a lot. So trying to master all social media platforms is a lot. But for me, like I said, I'm doing it little by little. Once Instagram and the rest of my focus, I'll start my YouTube channel, and I'm sure more leads come from there. But to answer your question, social media is more so helping me with branding. It hasn't generated a ton of leads, but YouTube has generated the most in the terms of I have made, not directly from YouTube, like, you know, in ads and stuff, but like I'm confident that I've made $10,000 over the last 2 years just because YouTube, and I kid you not, I get less than 20 views on these videos. So it is playing a role.
Yeah.
And as I post 6, 7 reels a week for the next couple of weeks and months, asking that same question after the next tax season, I'm almost certain the numbers will be better. But excuse me, it just takes some time. But yeah, I'm starting to get leads from it slowly. But like I said, it's a slow process, but it works out.
And here's part of the encouragement. We talked about this the last 2 meetings. You've really been planning and working on your business. We also haven't spent money on paid ads, really.
Exactly.
And so if you're listening to this, you know, there's first off, paid search ads. You know, you have 127 Google reviews. We know if we turn on Google reviews, people are they're gonna click on your stuff. They're gonna see your website. We're gonna amp that up. Then what we can do is take Facebook and Instagram and make a remarketing audience, and we will ensure that your videos, first off, a straight call to action, a video that will be, hey, if you're a business owner and you're looking for proactive tax planning, you're looking for a bookkeeper, you want to upgrade to actually save money and get a proactive, responsive accountant, book with me. I'm a CPA. I'm downtown Go. We're going to have that video. They will, and it will start to go. The dirty little secret with Instagram and Facebook is Facebook and Instagram don't need to give you views. They just need just enough. Like, supply is heavy, right? There's no shortage of supply. But I think when you turn on some of those ads, you're going to start getting direct leads. Yeah. And then the second thing is those videos, there's a difficult dynamic. The people who care about this content are other accountants, and they're not, unless you talk to them about accountant stuff, they're going to be, I know this already. So it's hard. I talk about this. I have a video called the 8 harsh realities of selling accounting services. One of the problems is the only people that care about this are other accountants. Like nobody else gives a toot. Like I don't mind. Like tell me all the tips in the world.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really, you got to talk about the problem, the solution, and the result. But the reason why I bring this up is as we create one primary Facebook and Instagram ad that will go, people will click and fill that out. You get some automated emails and stuff. And then the second one is like a long-term remarketing campaign where in their feed and in their reels, they'll see your best videos. We'll just put them there and you're going to be exposed to them because people, one of the other things it's a harsh reality is they procrastinate. They don't do something. Like they know they're going to do something sometime, but you've got all the ingredients to absolutely dominate and it'll get going.
Yeah. And 2 comments on that is one, everybody I know in this industry that's doing it at a high level is running ads and doing some type of boosted post, right? Because it hands down pays off. Like that's the most easiest way to bring in good traffic, especially if you have high quality videos and delivering your message. But for your new business owners, one of the reasons why I didn't do it initially and why I wasn't in a rush to make a ton of content is because you got to make sure you have the infrastructure to take on these clients. I have 127 5-star Google reviews, and I was killing the south suburbs of Chicago. My calendar is always full. I got time, but I like those 2 days, Tuesday and Thursday, when I have meetings, I am packed. So imagine if I turned on leads at the same time and I'm a one-man army, it would have made my life a lot difficult. And now I had the brilliant idea of moving downtown, and I updated my address on Google to a downtown area, and I forgot how big Chicago is. So now I'm even way more busier than what I'm used to being because of organically with Google. Now I have the infrastructure. I have a team. I'm not doing this by myself. Now I'm like, okay, let's go all in on social media. Let's turn on these ads in a couple weeks because now I'm comfortable with it. So my big picture is that social media, hands down, going to bring in enough traffic for you to eat for the rest of your life. However, remember, customer service is a priority here. Delivering exceptional service is a priority. Being present for your clients and delivering on your promises, right? In order to do that, you got to have the infrastructure. So if you don't remember anything, move correctly, right? Don't move quickly, move correctly. That's the name of the game. But yeah, social media, like I say, everybody I know that's doing it at a high level, they say post frequently, post all the time. And I'm one of those people, you can't keep telling me the same thing over and over again. I went to an event in Atlanta. I was probably with 6, 7 people who all got thousands of views, thousands of followers, all doing it really big. And I asked them, like, what you doing? They say, yeah, I'm posting every day, posting every second. Since then, like I said, it's every day you're going to see my face. So it's paying off, but just make sure you got the infrastructure for it. And I'm excited to show y'all the results the next time we speak to let you know the actual data because I measure it. Anytime something is working, I want to make sure that I'm doing more of it. And how can I get better leads from it before I do something new? So my more is working with my strategic partnerships. I partner with a lot of financial advisors, realtors, lawyers, people who speak with people directly. And I want to figure out how I can get more leads out of them, right? How can I incentivize them to give me better leads? How can I partner with them with a referral system? And my new is going to be not necessarily turn on ads today, but it's to add that call of action to those videos. So when I do turn on the ads, we can take the best ones from that set and then we can pitch it out to people. But all that in combination, everything we just said, like if you do it the right way, like failure isn't an option.
Yeah. Oh, I totally affirm. Yeah, man, I think that's super encouraging. After we last talked, I'm like, man, if people can hear this, it's going to be super helpful. You know, it takes some bravery. It takes getting out of your own shell and deciding to do stuff. But I mean, are there some other things when you think of just other accountants that maybe are in their first 5 years, or if maybe even to people that are kind of dreaming of starting their own thing, or they're kind of in this grind, like, is there anything that just comes to mind that you think that they should hear, whether it's a tip or a story or a feeling that you've had that maybe they would resonate with? Is there anything else cooking inside you that we should, you want to hit on?
Yeah, I think the last 20 minutes kind of woke me up. I would say my advice to a new accountant or somebody who's like just trying to.
Either or.
I think the most important thing here for us new accountants and just CPAs and in this industry is building a brand. Like, I know we're going to keep getting back to it, but like I said, at the end of the day, you're dealing with sensitive, confidential information. And there are a lot of us within this industry, but like you really have to narrow down on that part and promote who you are. I think that is key here, just being yourself. I left corporate America mostly because I couldn't be myself. I was in those rooms where if something dropped, all hell's gonna break loose. Or I just wasn't comfortable. I couldn't be myself. I couldn't smile as much. I wasn't as comfortable. So when you start your business, just kind of make sure you bring your identity to the table too as well, your personality and who you are, and create a business, a structure around your lifestyle. Like this thing can blow up so quickly. Like this, you do it the right way, you're gonna have enough leads forever. So make sure you're prioritizing your lifestyle and your own happiness, and make sure when you create your business model and the type of people you want to work with, that it evolves around that. So just take some time and think about that. This is an amazing industry to be in. It was never part of my plan, but I kid you not, I heard Rob's video. I sent it to my mentor, was like, this sounds amazing. How can I do this? He's like, bro, I've been doing this the whole time. I was like, oh, so it works. And that from that point on, I've been locked in. And like I said, I love it. I love the people I serve, but it's up to you at the end of the day to build a brand and also structure your business in a way that's going to grow with you too as well. Because over time, you're going to change the services you want to provide. You may switch up who you want to work with, et cetera. But you want to make sure that you're really being the CEO and the person in charge, and most importantly, being that guide and that leader for your organization and for your clients. So yeah, that would be my nuggets for that. But yeah, it's good. I love it. I enjoy it.
When you say build the brand, you're talking about the overarching, just the magnitude of messaging and your values and how you're, I mean, I'm assuming that's what you mean, because when I hear it, I definitely, one of the things I learned from, it was based out of Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. And I learned this from my church, is this idea of, if you want to have a great business, you're going to establish what's called a vision culture. And at the foundation of this pyramid, it's kind of a pyramid thing. The foundation, you have your values, which are, how are we going to act as we live? What are the outcomes in our lives we have? Then you have your mission is a couple steps above that. And that's what you're setting out to do that's really special. Underneath that, so what you're doing is your mission. Your values are who you are. And then you kind of have this purpose, which is why you do what you do. And that all should be, you should take time to formulate that. You know, our values are to be trustworthy, competent, enjoyable, and rigorous. And I could give you an absolute speech for day after day about what each one of those mean, nonstop. That's what I want. When my team is acting in a way, it's more about, is this in line with our values, rather than do I have to dictate to you exactly what to do? Mm-hmm. And then our mission is to create a steady flow of people's best customers. That's really what we're all about, right? And the reason, the purpose why I do that is because I believe that when we make a small business better, I impact their family, I impact their marriages, I impact them as fathers and mothers, I impact their communities. When I help an accountant, I help their customers keep more of their money and build more wealth. And like, I drink that Kool-Aid so much. And so that purpose is really what drives us. And that never changes, right? And then inside of that, you have like some distinctives. What are the distinct benefits you're trying to deliver when people work with you? Then you have your services. How do you stack the services? How much do they cost? How quickly do they get done? What's the process look like? What are the like? There's so much that goes into a service business. And then that once you kind of establish not the services, but the mission, the purpose, the values, that doesn't change. Then you have your strategies of how do you do it? Well, your services are a strategy of how you do it. We do it through kind of packages right now, right? And so, and then we have retainer packages, but the way you do it should drive your economic engine, should be something you can be excellent at, and it should be something that drives passion in you. It's this hedgehog concept, right? And so I just bring that up because a lot of people, what I love that I hear about you, you're working on your business in many different facets. It's not just one. You're not just yanking levers is what we used to call it. Like, well, I need sales. Let me yank the sales lever. You have phases. I could tell, there's a methodology between it, but you're working on your business. Right? That's huge.
Yeah. I used to say when I first started my business, and like I said, all my friends, that especially ones I'm in college, all got very good jobs, doing really good. And I used to be, hey, when I was left, start your own business. Let's get started. Let's build our own enterprises. Like I was very high on the fact that everybody I know should know what I'm doing, the great things I'm accomplishing, so they can start their own business too. Fast forward about a year into having my own business, I was like, This not for everybody.
No, it
No,
really isn't.
because it's one thing making money and having a business, and it's cool, but like you said, having to spend time to strategically not just work in your business, but on your business, that takes a whole different mindset. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for me, half of those days I am working on strategy. I am working on the things that people kind of skip over. Everything I just talked about to y'all in terms of strategy and what I'm doing has been mapped out to the T, point by point. I made a 75 bullet point action plan for this summer, and this is step 72 right now. Like, I'm very strategic about it, and not everybody thinks like that. So I don't know where I got it from. I'll probably give props to University of Illinois and being all of those classes maybe, but it's more so just like that's something I had to pick up and develop. Because at first it was just more so about I don't want to work for anybody else. But then when you start working for yourself and then you don't have systems or structures or you're not actually CEO, then you just realize you're just a you're just a high earning employee within your own business. So once I figure that out, I understand my long-term goals. Like I said, I'm only 27 and I'm figuring things out as we go. And I know what type of life I want to live. Now I'm taking these years to structure the business so that it can evolve and go around the way type of life I want to live. So I'm very strategic about it. I map out everything. Intentional actions leads to intentional results. So I don't know where I picked it up from, but I'm very thankful and I thank God all the time for giving me this mindset. But yeah, you got to be very strategic. So that's really just what's getting me to the next level.
That's so good. I only have one more thing I want to say. As you describe that, I think the analogy that I feel like sits with me best, because I consider this a lot because I talk to so many people trying to start their business, and I feel just sick when I confront, like when I meet someone, I'm like, this is not going to work. Like, this is going to be bad. It's like fishing. And so if you bear with me for just a second, you can buy all the lures in the world and, you got to get a reel and a rod. You got to be able to tie your own knot. And then you know what you got to do? You got to go catch the dang fish. There's no faking catching the fish. You either caught the fish or you didn't, right? And so there's this thing where when you set out to do a business, you got to land a sail and do it. Like, you have to, it has to happen. I always joke, my daughter once, we were driving in a car and something pogo stick. And I go, what'd you say, Peyton? She goes, I know how to pogo stick. I go, you know how to pogo stick. And I go, there's no faking pogo sticking. You either know how to pogo stick or not. And what's hard in business is you can pick yourself up and jump back onto that pogo stick with a commitment that you're going to get it done. And because I think you're right. Everybody should start a business a year and a half into it. This is not for everyone. Very much so. This is not for everyone. And I think one of the biggest differences I try to take as a marketer is there's a lot of marketers and there's a lot of programs and all sorts of stuff out there that prey on people's ambition to want to succeed, sell them basically a pyramid scheme plan, and then they don't really care that they don't catch any fish. Oh, you're holding your tackle box and your thing, but they never figured out how to get into the fishing hole, tie the knot so it doesn't fall off, and get the fish in the boat. And I'm sure it doesn't hold up entirely, but if you're thinking of starting your own business, you're starting to, as an accountant, I think that the path that you took, I always tell people, start doing taxes on the side, start doing books on the side, find a problem and solve it. Give it away for free in the beginning. Find out if you're in it. You've done everything I think people should do, and you have excellent education. Not only are you effective in this, but you've been to learn it all. And I'm honored to know you, man.
Likewise.
If you got 127 5-star reviews right now. You're gonna have 500 in 2 years, and no matter what, man, you're gonna be blowing up. So I appreciate your time. Deeply.
Yeah, no, thank you too. And like I said, this gave me a good opportunity to reflect. I think a lot of times we moving so fast in life that it's good to sit down, kind of think out loud. I'm excited to watch this video too as well. And like I said, I listen. When you go on your rants, I listen because a huge part of me just making it to where I'm at in life is because I've been listening to individuals like yourself who's been doing it at a high level. So appreciate you too. Thank you for everything.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Darion. Have a good one. Like and subscribe. This will be on YouTube. It'll be on our iTunes podcast. Google 108. It's on Spotify. It'll be everywhere.